Alright, I'm back with another 3 lessons from 3 mistakes that I've made. I can do a lot of these videos, so I'm definitely going to keep it as a concept because I've literally got like a whole notes thing on my phone full of like lessons and teachings that I've given to myself from like certain things that I've done in the past. Yeah, I've got so many, so I can really like make these videos quite consistently. So I'm pretty sure this can help a lot of people as well. I imagine my mistakes are very similar to some people's as well that they've made during this time of their life. Yeah, I'm gonna run with it, see how it goes. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna get into the first one. So first one is it's the anticipation of doing the act which you enjoy more than doing the act itself. Now, the first thing that came to my mind whenever I read this was nofap and like post not clarity. You know, like after you do it, you have this feeling of just dread, guilt, shame, everything like that just comes over and you feel like, oh, I'm gonna lose all my gains, oh, I'm gonna lose all my progress that I made in the last week, like everything's crazy, I'm gonna die, you know, like you have all these stupid thoughts rushing through your head. But before it, the thought of it seems a lot more enticing. You all that dopamine and all these hormones are rushing through your head, and you're feeling so like everything's going at 1,000 miles per hour. But afterwards and during, that stuff does not feel nearly as rewarding as your brain anticipated it to be, and that's what tricks you. That's why these things are so addicting. You know, like social media, shorts, TikTok, you know, things like that. The thought of it really pushes you to continue to doing it because you consistently enjoy the anticipation of it. You consistently enjoy the anticipation of doing the act. That's why you can sort of forget about the bad feeling which you get afterwards, because the anticipation never changes. You always still feel excited. You always want that escapism from whatever it is. You know, you always want to chase that. But what we need to place our memory of that event on is the after effects of it rather than before. I have this really good thing which I say to myself. I don't know if it's an original thing, but I've thought of it, so I'm going to claim it, alright? It's judge the worth of your actions after you do them, not before. Now, what that essentially means is base whether the act you did was good after you did it. That way you don't just jump into things based off of emotion. Sometimes it's good to be spontaneous, yeah, and you know, forget about that fear. But I truly think that the worth of your actions is valued after you do them. Because if you have oh shit, my bad. If you have no experience of this thing, making your judgment of it before you do it logically seems irrational. Everyone would probably agree upon that. If you can't base your experience of something before you do it. You have to do it first if you want to make that judgment. It's like going to see a movie, reading the reviews, and then just deciding that it's going to be an awful movie without even seeing it. Like, yeah, maybe that will influence your decision, but you may have a completely different interpretation to it once you actually experience it yourself. You know what I mean? So you have to experience things first and then decide whether it's worth your time. Don't just jump into things. Your brain tricks you. We're still very primal creatures at our core. We're still driven by these desires, basic desires like food, sex, all that stuff. When you apply that in today's world, that desire is spread across a multitude of things because we have so much access to it everywhere. So you have to control that, and it's just the nature of who we are right now. That's just something you're going to have to deal with as we live through this time. You know, people 1,000 years ago would be absolutely infatuated by the idea of having everything on this small device. But we're not them. So we just have to work around what we have and what we need to, you know, compensate for in today's world that they wouldn't have had to do in the past. So yeah, It's the anticipation that you enjoy more than the after effects, and judge the worth of your actions after you do them, not before. The second one is, what you say you're gonna do, you must do. Now, this is especially true as a man, because your word is what you hold yourself to. It's the standard of productivity for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people. Think about a time where you've said that you're going to do something and you didn't do it. All that guilt you probably felt afterwards. You probably felt it for maybe the rest of the day and into the other day that followed. Like, your word to yourself, to other people as well, yeah, I'll keep that in mind, but especially to yourself, because how can you expect to have any confidence or self-respect if you don't even do what you say that you're going to do? I genuinely believe confidence comes from sticking to your word near enough all the time. Genuinely. Like, there's a beautiful quote from Alex Hormozy. He says, confidence isn't built by shouting positive affirmations in the mirror. It's built by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And a big part of getting this proof is by sticking to your word, doing what you say you're going to do, and not doing what you say you're going to not do, right? Because it goes both ways. There's discipline and there's willpower. Willpower resisting, discipline doing. So your word has to apply to both of those things, all right, for it to fully be effective. It should be the utmost authority for most men, if not all, because going back to what I said about sticking to your word for other people. Going back to what I said about sticking to your word for other people as well. People are going to be more likely to trust you if they know that you're sticking to your own word to yourself. That way, whenever you're, making promises and saying that you'll do things for other people, they're going to be, more trustworthy towards you because you stick to the promises you make to yourself, right? Especially long-term ones, because your closest friends will probably know, like, the transformations that you've made, the things that you've said and done. They recognize the stuff. A lot of people are very envious of that as well. Outside of your friendship circle, people recognize the work that you put into it and the standards that you've held yourself to. So that plays a lot into their liking of you as a person as well, because it's I don't know if this is the right term to use right now, but real recognizes real, you know what I mean? So people will see this stuff in you. People will genuinely see that you're sticking to your word. You're doing what you're saying that you're going to do. So you'll start building a stronger social circle, all from this one thing. Like, it has such good chain effects from just doing this one initial thing, and you will notice it as you continue to do it. Make your word your Bible, your utmost authority to whatever it is, and you'll notice differences in your self-confidence, in people's impressions and views of who you are as a person. You'll notice this stuff, and you'll feel a lot more self-respected because you're doing what you're saying that you're going to do, and you'll be making progress in things at the same time. So there's always that knock-on effect, and you'll continue to move forward, and it's beautiful. It's a really fundamental thing to everything. So yeah, keep that in mind. What you say you do, you must do. Alright, the third and final lesson that I've learned from a mistake that I've made is one of the ones that has taken me the hardest and longest amount of time to learn, and it's to stop putting every single person you meet on a pedestal. This was me throughout the entirety of high school, and even sometimes still today. I'll be 100% honest, I'm not completely over this, but I'm a lot better off now than I was 2 years ago. So I'm in a pretty good place to say that it's still a lesson that I've learned. But throughout high school, everyone that I would meet was better than me. every single person I made interaction with, I judged them based off of just that brief interaction, based off of me. So me at that time, self-confidence was non-existent really. So it didn't really take much for me to see you as better than me, because like I said, my self-confidence was not high at all. If not, it wasn't even there. So, you know, the standard of me seeing you as better than me was very low. So most people who I'd speak to, and most people who I'd just, you know, even walk by and just see off of like face value, I'd see as better than me. And you know, it's taken me a long time to learn that all people, if not most people, are self-hating, in the sense that, you know, everyone has their insecurities. And there's a great David Goggins quote, I don't know it word for word, but it's something along the lines of like, the only thing other people are doing better than you is hiding their insecurities. So yeah, when you're upfront about your insecurities, and when you're being honest, trying to change them, when you start doing things to be that person who you want to be, to better yourself through being open about your insecurities, you gain an advantage over all those people who are hiding theirs. Because you start to realize, like, why am I putting these people on a pedestal? Why am I assuming them to be better than me when I am actually working towards changing the things which I'm insecure about, and changing the things which weaken me as a person? And they're doing nothing about it. In fact, they're doing one of the worst things you can do, which is hiding it, even though you're aware of it. You know, it's something you have to challenge. And through experience and through developing yourself, again, you gain this confidence over other people. And it's not like an ego thing, it's built from the work that you do. So you need to take pride in yourself, in the things that you've done, and genuinely like compare yourself now to who you were in the past. And that can eliminate all these people who you are putting on pedestals, because you'll see how you have changed so much as a person, and how the changes that you've made to your life have impacted, you know, what you could have been like if you didn't make that change. You know, imagine if you didn't like start self-improvement, if you didn't start doing all these habits. Like, I think about this a lot. I think about, if I did not start going to the gym 2 years ago, I wouldn't have this channel, I wouldn't have any self-confidence, I wouldn't have these. You know, it's not fun. And I think, yeah, a big reason why we put people on pedestals is because, you know, we just don't have that self-confidence. We haven't worked towards it enough. And for me, I was already in a bad spot because I wasn't really super social. Like, I still am quite introverted, but I'm a lot more socially confident now than I was back then, because again, I just see people as better than me and just not talk to them, because I think, oh, why would they want to talk to someone like me anyway? You know, I don't offer any value, but everyone does. And that's something you also have to keep in mind, because we all have value in this world. We all have something to offer. So everyone genuinely wants to speak to you. You know, people are very social at their core, but it's just not everyone wants to make that first interaction. So you be that guy that does that. You be the guy that stops putting people on pedestals. You know, build your social confidence, do all this good stuff, and good things will happen to you, I promise. So yeah, another 3 lessons I've learned from 3 mistakes I've made. And I'm definitely making this a series. We'll do it every Monday, because I have a lot of like lessons I have in my phone saved, so I can just scroll through them and just pick 3 for a video. So yeah, I mean, yeah, again, hopefully you took something of value from this video. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff, all that flipping YouTube BS. And yeah, subscribe for greatness. Strive for greatness, and don't be a vape puffing nerd.